Isakson?
I'll be quick, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the courtesy of Senator Enzi. You know, Senator Enzi, I was sitting here thinking during this hearing, it's deja vu all over again for you and I, because 19 years ago, President Clinton created the Web-Based Education Commission to look into this thing called the computer and see if there'd be any role in delivering educational content in the 21st century. We spent a year doing that. And we came up, the end decision we came up with, one of them was called the seat time rule, where you had to have at least 50% of your time in a seat being instructed by a teacher in order for the curriculum to count towards that graduation if you were taking the rest of it on a computer, meaning we didn't quite trust the computer yet. Now, of course, the delivery of content on the internet and use of web-based education proliferates everywhere in business and in our great universities. And so I really commend Ms. Bushwa's your recommendations, Doctor, in talking about competency-based education and doing a demonstration project or getting a good definition of it and being sure we get our arms around distance learning and recognize what it really is and not what a lot of us thought it was. The United States Army today is delivering college content, and soldiers are graduating by taking their classes in cyber cafes in Europe and in the Middle East because we deliver content on the internet. Urban universities like City University of New York are delivering great content to a student that before was out of the reach of going to college was out of reach for him. Because the delivery system was you went to a building and sat in a building and listened to a teacher. And that wasn't the capability of doing that for an urban student was not possible. So I really commend the chairman on putting this committee together, this hearing together today. I think what we're learning is a lot of great information. I appreciate it very much. We'll ask one question to really hopefully prod Ms. Linderman to make a couple statements about urban universities. But Georgia State University has a program called Panther Grants and a predictive analytics computer software that it uses to predict the likelihood of a student falling between the cracks before they get to graduation time. In fact, the Panther grants are the small grants up to $500 they give to a student that gets in need of $500 more to finish their senior year or to finish their final semester. And the use of predictive analytics, they take the information of the students' work in school to predict whether or not they're going to be able to finish on their own. If they can't, they give them the aid if the financial aid will help, or in some cases, the instructional aid will help. Are you using computer programs or things like predictive analytics or something like that to track your students, to go to the student and find one that's in trouble and bring them some help?
So we are great admirers of the Panther program that you're mentioning in Georgia. Predictive analytics is something that CUNY is moving towards using increasingly. We use algorithms to determine the likelihood that a student is going to need remedial need on their way in the door and try to get them into interventions. A program like ASAP uses kind of a combination of computer and actual people studying the patterns of a student and trying to identify the types of problems that you mentioned ahead of time. We are increasingly moving towards adopting programs like the EAB Predictive Analytics Program to look in advance to see what is the likelihood a student is going to get into trouble. But I would say that is the heart and soul of our ASAP program. We are looking for those exact patterns that you're describing, intervening before a student gets in trouble and making sure they get the support they need, whether it's financial, tutoring, advisement, or counseling support.
Well, thank all of you for your leadership in education and getting education to our children and our young adults and our seniors who are now enrolling in college at ages we wouldn't have thought of possible 20 years ago, but because the world's changing. Mr. Chairman, thanks to you for bringing this before us.